A2theK.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show, and welcome to What If. Dun, dun, dun. This week for What If, we're going to say, what if Cyber Sunday happened today? Not like right now, but like in 2022.
Before we get into that one, Carl.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. What if we happen to be on Pro Wrestling TV?
What if? Well, that would be something. Wait a minute.
We already are.
Hey, if you're watching us on Pro Wrestling TV right now, then, you know, we'll stop doing this.
We're wasting your time.
Yeah, it's only because we've just joined you. But yeah, exciting news.
Indeed.
We're now part of the pwtv family.
Yeah, logos and all. So we're excited to be here. Or there.
And everywhere, really.
Hey.
So make sure if you are watching us on YouTube, you go and check out Pro Wrestling TV. Download the Pro Wrestling TV app. It's available everywhere. And as well as us, you can see the likes of Women's Wrestling Army. You can see Control Your Narrative.
AAA.
You can see AAA is on there. We've got
Local, that's TNT.
TNT, big shout out. Other talk show type segments as well. So loads of great stuff. 24/7 wrestling for free.
All the content.
So make sure you go and check it out. But let's talk What If, shall we?
Let's talk What If. This is one that you and I have not debated.
we
talked
about
a few, because I think the first point would be this was like something that would have probably landed really well now, and it's surprising they've not tried to revisit this. So obviously we're talking about the interactive pay-per-view.
Yes.
So they had two of these.
Initially Taboo Tuesday.
Taboo Tuesday, yes. They also introduced Cyber Sunday.
Yes.
So we had two of these interactive pay-per-views. And when they say interactive, it's not like now. This is where we say, nowadays it works so much better. This was like, well, let's do it in the janky old-fashioned dial-up way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to put it into context, it first became a thing in 2004. Now, it was the boom of the internet, of course it was. Yeah, but you had to vote on www.com.
Well, for context, for those younger fans who are listening to us now, 2004, like you may not even remember it, or you may have just been born or whichever. But 2004, this was before the first iPhone.
Oh, I mean,
so
like mobile phones, cell phones.
We were still flipping shit.
Yeah, you know? Like it was on like.
That's actually just become a thing again. You can flip phones again,
flip them again. But it was like, what was it called? It was like WAP or whatever. It wasn't like no 3G, no 4G, no 5G.
This didn't have any of the Gs.
If you were going to get the internet, it would take you most of the day to get it on your phone, and so obviously the only way to vote at the time was to do it on www.com.
Yes.
Now 2004 was when we were just finishing high school.
Yes.
And you know. Not even everybody had computers at home.
I think we were like, broadband?
Wow, what is this? Get off the phone! I don't want to go on the internet.
So it was so ahead of its time that technology just wasn't up to this in some senses.
No.
Don't be wrong, this still worked, but I think this is what caused it to, like, this was before it was like commonplace for like everyone to have access to the internet in some form.
Yeah.
This would have even took off just a couple of years later, in 2006, when Facebook became such a massive thing and MySpace was still a massive thing. Yeah. Like, when all those things were kicking off and you could use their sort of infrastructure.
You see, it's interesting you say that, right? So, for context, so as we said, this started off as Taboo Tuesday, right? And it did okay. I think it was the lowest attended pay-per-view in WWE history. So, from a live audience perspective, not great. But it did... I think they racked up over 4 million votes for the first show that they did. Right. So it still got a lot of votes, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think where it started to stumble was the fact that they had a pay-per-view on a Tuesday. Now that probably didn't help the live attendance.
Yeah, I mean the name was, I didn't think about that, but the name was a giveaway, Taboo Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah, so the first two of them took place on Tuesdays.
Yes.
But it was actually in 2006, so it's interesting that you said maybe it would have took off around 2006. That's when they moved it to Cyber Sunday.
Yeah, I'm probably being unfair saying 06 as like, that's the benchmark of when you should have done it, because that was still, people are starting to get the newer smartphones and starting to have technology in the hand regularly and can go on Facebook. We're probably, like, this was probably maybe more of a 10, 11 thing where you go, well, okay, most people have got some sort of smartphone.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I think, I mean, when did the iPhone come out? It was like 2007, 2008 maybe, something like that?
Our first iPhone was 06, I believe.
Was it? Okay, so it was, if you were going to get one, it was, you know, an emerging technology, if you will, and stuff as well at that point.
I know I got the iPhone 3, and that was in 2008.
Okay.
So just as a bit of context, so they had like 2 iterations by then already. Okay. So they moved pretty quick. The old tech, you know.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, it's safe to say during the whole kind of phase of these pay-per-views, it wasn't exactly the most accessible thing, was it?
No,
because it was either people like proper smartphones were only just coming into prominence, and not everyone had kind of computers, but it was just very much I've got to go on there. But I think another big stumbling block, I don't know what you remember of these, was that I just remember them not feeling like you had full control.
Yeah. No, I think I agree with that, and I think in reality they were probably trying to keep a measure of control for the sake of their storylines and such.
Yeah.
But the idea was we would decide on the matches, and this could have been a great tool for them to go, what are the people, rather than trying to interpret what people want, they're literally telling you what they want. They want to see these matches, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. And you could have even, rather than trying to buy into an existing story you're telling, which I understand they'd have had stories that were being told as they went into this, but they could have even spanned stories from this. Yeah. Like, we've put a random match together as voters, but then they can build something from that maybe.
Yeah.
But it's one, like, when you consider like the way technology is now, like how on the fly you could be with these sort of votes is insane. Like look at the way Instagram works with their polling and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a whole different, like, I mean, we can probably explore the ways that we could have made this whole thing better. I think in terms of the reasons why it didn't work. So my first memory is obviously the first match that was on Taboo Tuesday was Chris Jericho defending the IC title, and they actually had about 10 different people that you could pick from.
Yeah.
So that was like, okay, wow, there's a lot of choices there. And I remember Shelton Benjamin came out.
Yeah.
And won.
And that sets it up straight away.
And Jericho,
like anything can happen.
And Jericho apparently didn't know. He said in his book, it was his second or third book that he brought out.
Okay.
He didn't.
I read the book.
I read the book. That he didn't know who was coming out, and he only found out just as the match was starting. He was losing the belt. So, in essence, and I'm not knocking the talent of today, but and we'll get onto would it work today, but you have to have a lot of faith in your opponent to call a match on the fly. Because if you think about it, you don't know who you're facing.
I take your point
on
on that.
The outcome.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of trust that's involved there with that as well.
Thing is, though, for me, like, as I understood it, you could choose there was votes on opponents, votes on match type.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a vote on who the special referee was, or just whether you had a special referee? So there was some special referee element to it.
So it was the introduced picking the special guest referee at like 2 or 3 years down the road, but predominantly it was what match are they going to have or who's going to be in this match was the main.
Because for me, like, I understand if you needed certain matches needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the culmination of, say, like you get all the way up to Cody versus Roman Reigns, right? The story needs to be told. Not that you finish it on this pay-per-view, but the story needs to be told, and then we'll put it to the vote, and they want Cody versus Ezekiel Jackson, right? I don't know,
okay.
Random name off the top of me, right? And you go, okay, that's not what we were expecting, right? Yeah. So I understand that they need a measure of control over certain, maybe big title storylines. So you go, okay, that's the match where you go, well, you can pick the match type. Mm-hmm. People would fucking love doing that now, wouldn't they? Going, yeah, they're definitely going to have a match, right? Or Drew's definitely going to have his match, but we'll decide whether it's going to be a strap match.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. I think that'd still be super fun now.
Yeah, I think with a lot of it, where it kind of fell flat as well for me was in that example of picking the match type, it was like a steel cage match or a regular match or a submission match. And it was like, well, obviously you're going to pick, you know what I mean? Like, there was no, like, it was never, there was no parity between
the steering
choices.
Here.
Exactly, it was the same with the choices. It was almost like, yeah, it's totally in your hands, but, you know, you've got to pick special guest referee, Stone Cold Steve Austin, JBL, or Jonathan Coach. But, you know, I don't know what and it's like, well, obviously Stone Cold. So really, how much of it was in the audience? I mean, don't get me wrong.
I take your point.
They were real votes, but do you not think they were kind of
guided?
You
get to the point that, like, the people almost protestantly vote for the wrong thing.
Oh yeah,
that's the danger you put there.
Well, I mean, that's a massive risk of it as well, which we can talk about. Is like if we, especially today, we know like, and I'm not saying anything like elections were rigged and things like that. I'm not going to go down that thing, but there's a lot of stuff around like things are rigged or like people are doing things to troll people and that kind of stuff. So we can talk about that. I think another thing which aged badly for this as well is the way the women were used, because they weren't used to go, well, what's the best women's match we can put on? It was like, what outfit are they going to wear? Or, like, you know, is it going to be a pillow fight?
What are they going to wrestle in?
Yeah.
Is it going to be chocolate, jello?
Exactly.
Like, oh, fuck's sake.
I remember the first one, it was like, well, I think they actually went that way. It was like, it started off as like, well, what are the women going to wrestle in? It's like, is it schoolgirl outfits, that kind of thing. Ended up being vote. And I guess this is an element of they tried to have live voting. But it was like, they did a Halloween costume judging from the audience, and it was like that was live, you know what I mean? It was like, so
classic.
Stuff like that didn't really age well, in my opinion. But I think it's all come back to like what you've always said is it's a fantastic concept, but was it ahead of its time? I guess.
I think now we've discussed it. I think some element, like I think the concept was definitely ahead of its time. I think some elements were probably, I don't even want to say poorly executed, maybe dated when you look at it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I do think it was massively ahead of its time. I think it's something that would work so much better now, and I would love to see them try it again.
How do you think we would do it now? So, say for example, you know, Triple H's at the helm now, isn't he? You know, would you still go on to WWE.com? Like you mentioned before, you've got social media and stuff. What? Like, how'd you do it? What's the right way to do it today?
Here's the thing that surprises me that they haven't tried this again before now. They want people on the WWE network. Okay, it's Peacock now, but when they were trying to push the WWE network, get the app.
Yeah.
You know, if you watch it through the WWE network, you can vote in real time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They could still push some sort of app. They could do it. I would suggest they do it for social media.
Yeah.
Like they go, well, look, go onto our Instagram and vote. You know, why not? Like everyone's already there, so you don't need to try and drive them anywhere.
It's not another app.
They're already there, right?
Yeah.
So you do it through social media. That's the first thing I would say. I'm picking Instagram. You know, if you want to get on the modern age, like depending on the audience, saying before, go on TikTok. You know, there's a lot of wrestling fans on TikTok. We know that.
Yeah, we know that. We got a lot.
So you either do TikTok and you can do it that way. But for me, you like it. Like looking at the boom of the reality TV, it's kind of dying to death a little bit now. But look, they've been doing it for years. Where you go like, oh, the X Factor, get on and vote now, and in 10 minutes time you'll have the results.
Yeah. I think as well that was almost the perfect storm of why they started it as well, as the internet was becoming massive and so was reality TV, and I think that was the big spin, wasn't it? But here's a question: if you did it today, would you show live voting or not? Now I think one of the things that why people thought it was fixed or predetermined was you just did a vote. It was like thanks for voting, and you could never see until the event. Now there's pros and cons to both, but what would be the right thing to do? Like,
I think because it's WWE, you can make a spectacle of it. Let's say you did live voting, right? And they had some sort of graphic in the arena at the time, right? So you've got the wrestler there waiting to find out who his opponent is.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see like Spike Dudley stood there waiting to find out whether he's going to have to fight Braun Strowman, and you can see it slowly creeping up.
Yeah.
You know, that I don't know why. You know.
Well, that's it. Like, it wouldn't have to necessarily be so far ahead of time, would it? Like we're not even saying you'd have to put the possible. Then again, this is why I love these segments, because the cogs always spin in my head. What's the right thing to do? Of who buys a show when they don't know what the card is? Because you don't know what the card is until you find. I mean,
it's marketing, though, isn't it? You buy the show because it's the show that you want.
Yeah.
It'll not be the show that you want because you're voting.
Yeah, but
it's a show for the people.
Yeah.
Not you personally, but it's a show. This is the one to buy because this is a show that you, the audience, get to decide how it goes. This arguably should be the best pay-per-view ever because you're picking it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? It's all in the marketing, my friend.
Yeah.
But for me, I think I suppose what I'd ask is, would you oversaturate it potentially and say you get to pick who's fighting and the type of match they're fighting? Or, as I was saying before, do you go, well, look, this match has to happen. We have to have Roman versus Cody. That's going to be your main event. So you do get to pick is the type of match they're having. Yeah. I think you need to control it in that sense.
Yeah, and I think you need to... I think one of the things that they got right with the Shelton Benjamin Jericho thing was there was a wider range of options. But then ever since that, for the rest of the event and even the rest of the stuff even on that card, it was a choice of 3 all the time. And so it got very much like, well, let's say, I don't know, Intercontinental title match or something. It was like, which 3 of our predetermined people are you going to pick? And it was kind of like, well, what if like, say for instance, think about Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson as he is now, when, he kept getting overlooked, didn't he? And it was like, no, you want Batista, you want Randy Orton. he would never have been on that list to even pick from in the first place. So what do you do? Because you can't put everyone on the roster, because then people would troll the fuck out of that. You know they would. You would be getting, you know, your bloody Spike Dudley or whatever going up against Roman.
So the thing is though, like, there are elements where you go, it'd be interesting to see who's like the underdog of the roster is, who the fans love and doesn't get enough airtime, because that's the kind of voting you get. You know? Yeah. You get some trolls, but.
Yeah, no, of course you would. But you'd like to think as well. I mean, I think it'd be fascinating. WWE always says that they listen to the fans and all this kind of stuff, and especially with Triple H at the helm, like, do they really? Or is it...
For me, especially when you're testing this out, though, that's where you have to do the picking the opponent thing. You'd have to do it on relatively inconsequential matches, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You go, we're doing some matchups. There's no title involved because we're taking a risk. When you get comfortable with the idea and you realise how much people are going to troll or not, you know what I mean?
But I think you'd have to just go fully, like, go all in.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
okay, what do you think of this concept, right? I'm spitballing here, so you might think this is dumb, right? A Royal Rumble or Battle Royal, right? Where the time between the opponents coming in, you get to frantically vote for who's coming in next.
Oh, so you've got like 2-3 minutes or something to then go.
Like, it's like literally everyone get on it, and you just get to see how like who's going to be next just based on that quick frantic vote, and you like the interaction for the audience is constant because you're constantly trying to pick the next opponent.
Yeah, I like that actually. It's stuff like that. It's like how could you be more inventive with it, to a sense of like, well, you know, it would absolutely have to be something which takes place live. The people voting at home, the people in the arena. You could even give, I don't know, the people in the arena a special, you know, match or whatever where they can vote just them. Yeah. But it would absolutely work better for it to just all be done, called on the fly. But if you can overcome that thing I was saying of like, well, who's going to buy this pay-per-view because you've no idea what's going to happen. People bought into that as a concept, and it actually produced stuff that they wanted. You know what I mean? It could work, but I think they'd have to find that balance of not listing everybody on the roster.
See, I think for me though, you can sell the pay-per-view because you'll have control over the card. Like you'll have certain voted matches on the card, but you'd have certain matches that have to happen. So you could still sell the pay-per-view on like, okay, so Hulk Hogan's coming back.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan's here tonight, so you're going to tune in for it anyway, right? But then the voting elements are around it, you know what I mean? So you can still draw people in because you can still control certain elements.
I suppose thinking about the voting elements as well, like, what else could you vote for? Now, the majority of it was who's going to be in this match or what's this match type going to be. And then towards the end it was like, we'll pick your special guest referee out of these 3 people.
Leaning into, this might be a bit too much, and again, spitballing, leaning into Jericho, right? The gimmick they come out with.
Oh, well, to be fair, they did that with Foley. And it was brilliant. It was one of the few fond memories I have from it is, will he come out as Mankind, Cactus Jack, or Dude Love? Yeah. And they got to vote on that.
And wouldn't it be fun if you could do like, alright, they're a legend, they've had a few different gimmicks. And relating to a recent interview we had with beloved A2theK Wrestler, say you got to vote whether Devon comes out as Devon Dudley or Reverend Devon.
Yeah.
Right? You know, or you have Jericho. Is he going to come out as the Painmaker? Is he going to come out as Y2J? Is he going to come out as the Lionheart? You know, there's so many options for him.
Yeah.
You could do the same, like with, or even if, right, you don't go as far as gimmick, right? With modern wrestlers, you go, so many people were clambering for Drew McIntyre to get his old theme back.
True.
What if you could just pick the theme music?
What?
It's as simple as it is. You just go, what music is coming out?
It's that though, isn't it? Is you could give control over every single element, and it's like, what, you know, how much would be too much, but then how much is just not enough, or not as, you know, weighty enough to make you care.
I think you could go nuts with it if you wanted to, like even before the pay-per-view itself. Say you want this to be a pay-per-view that the people make, right? Even before the pay-per-view, you let them vote on elements of the arena.
Yeah.
Bring back the
like
big
the stage, yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Let them vote on certain things like that.
Yeah, I suppose that could work. You've got stuff which is voted on live while the show's going on. You've got stuff that's voted ahead of time, and you've got that mix
pay-per-view you put together. Who is going to commentate for this pay-per-view? Do you want Jerry?
Yeah, do you want to bring Jerry the King Lawler back?
You know, that kind of stuff.
Pat McAfee, do you want to bring him back?
No. You know, certain things like that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they have, let's face it, they have a roster of celebrities and a roster of legends. So you could go, which legend do you want to end up? Which celebrity do you want involved in this pay-per-view? There's loads of pay-per-view stuff that you could vote for.
Yeah. It's one of them, isn't it? It would.
I mean, it really hurts a celebrity's ego if you go, yeah, like put me in the voting options and they don't get picked. Yeah. That might not be a great idea. But
yeah. But I don't know. It feels like now might be the time. Well, I mean, even years ago was probably the time, but it's like there's definitely a market there. I think to have the fans create something like this today.
Do you know what I think is evidence that this could work? People like us. And so many other shows and internet stuff and YouTube channels and like from the biggest to the smallest who are going on like, this is how I'd do it.
Yeah.
We're already doing it for them. We're already saying to them, this is what I would do.
Yeah, we're already fancy button.
Give us the vote, man.
Yeah.
We want the vote.
Yeah. No, I mean, people do. I mean, we know ourselves from like prediction series, and obviously we play part in Fancy Faction from Cheap Hot Wrestling, don't we? And it's like
exactly
stuff like that where we like that interactive element of being able to vote for who we think's going to win, or to be able to pick a roster that we think's going to do well this month or whatever. So there's definitely a market there for it, and I think with social media being what it is, and it could be how WWE really grows, like the likes of a TikTok or so, you know what I mean? Like they went through that weird thing, didn't they, of like Periscope? Remember that? And it was like, well, that died a death.
Yep.
They were massively into that, but it could be another option for them. They've got a massive YouTube, they've got a massive Instagram, and maybe TikTok is an emerging channel they go down, or who knows what they do. Or they could do it in the network app, they could do it in their app. But I don't know, I feel like there's definitely something there still, isn't there? And it's a concept which was just maybe too soon for when it was to the point where it couldn't really be capitalised on to the full extent.
Yeah. But no, straight to it, I think the elements that I think need to sort of go away are like you say, the stuff they do with the diva stuff where you go, what outfit are they going to wear?
Yeah.
Are they going to wrestle in mud? Yeah. That kind of stuff. That can all fuck off.
It is That's stuff fine. Like that. I mean, to be fair, and I was quite vocal about this at the time with Forbidden Door, where I felt like the build-up to Forbidden Door, which turned out to be great, by the way, but it kind of just stopped all the current storylines they had going on.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, you might be feuding with this guy, but actually we've got this guy from New Japan coming over that you're fighting now, stuff like that. And it's a problem. It's not a problem, but it's like tonight that they're having Jericho versus Bandido, and they're having Moxley against Juice Robinson, and it's like, but why? They don't even work for the company.
Well, anyway. See, here's the thing though. Like apparently, like Tony Khan kind of addressed this by saying that on Dynamite they're gonna offer a video package to help you understand, which is helpful, but that doesn't really help with the build, does it? Because I have to now tune in to Dynamite to find out. That's the type of shit you should really put on your social media beforehand.
On the one hand, I get that wrestling exists outside of AEW and WWE and stuff happens, and it makes sense because Juice Robinson's beaten Moxley and all this kind of stuff.
We've mentioned this a million times that a lot of people don't watch everything and can't watch everything, so you kind of need to cater for people who may not know who they are.
It's like for me, I'm not excited about it. I'm just like, well, I'm going to watch a match. And don't get me wrong, wrestling is cool because of wrestling, of course it is, but I'm so much more story driven, and this isn't just story. It's like, well, there's a match, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. But
I mean, while we're still in the what if, then, because we've been very WWE centric, because WWE obviously they did these pay-per-views, and we're ahead of the time. Would you do you think AEW could execute a social media voted pay-per-view? Do you think that's something they could do?
I'd definitely give them a niche, wouldn't it? I think the point that I was alluding to Forbidden Door, because it kind of, when they did that, it took me out of the main roster type thing. So if WWE did it today, what would happen to the ongoing feuds essentially? Because they'd have to stop because you don't know who's going to get put with who or what's going to happen. So there's that, but it could be something that AEW massively capitalises on, because it's WWE for whatever reason haven't gone back to Cyber Sunday. Now maybe it's something where they're never going to do it. So yeah, it could be a real niche for AEW to go, well, actually we're going to take control of that.
Lastly, because I'll say lastly unless you want to talk some more. One of the things I want to ask you though, let's be honest.
Okay.
Shit names. Taboo Tuesday and Cyber Sunday. They might not have been bad at the time. Even Cyber sounds really dated now.
Taboo Tuesday was awful, but Cyber Sundays.
Do you have any ideas of what you think it should be called? Something that emphasises the fact that it's voted for?
Yeah, I would remove the gimmicky cyber, internet, I'd get rid of all that and just have it be in your hands instead of at your house, or like your control or whatever, because that's essentially what it is. It's giving the fans the control, so you can remove all the gimmicky stuff.
Insta slam.
Love it.
Build a bash.
I love that. Yeah, fuck it, let's go with it. But yeah, there's definitely something there for it, I think.
Flim flam.
Oh God. Yeah, we need to do an episode about AEW actually, and just how we feel about it as a product today versus how we felt about it in its first 2 years. I think would be.
Yeah, because like no spoilers, but I think it started really strong and maybe have petered a little bit. So I think it's definitely one that we should talk about. Yeah,
it's worth addressing. But yeah, what do you guys think?
Tell us.
Would you like to see it come back? If so, how do you think it should work? Do you think it should be something done via social media? Do you think it should be something done a completely different way? Or do you just not want to see it back at all? Is there a reason for that? Just let us know.
Vote now.
Yeah, just vote now. Exactly. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments. If you are watching this on Pro Wrestling TV, then let us know on social media. And obviously, if you listen to this, do the same as well. But before we go, we have to just talk about. I've got nothing left really because it's that good. But
Top Rope Brewing, our wonderful partners. This week we do Top Rope Tuesdays. So if you follow us on socials, you'll already know about it. If you're new to the show, each Tuesday so far we've been doing different beer and talking about, for starters, our lovely partners. The fact that it's not, the code's not on the screen.
I know, we need to tell them about that every episode. I know. Now. You need to use A2theK10.
A2theK10
at topropebrewing.com.
So visit topropebrewing.com, pick the beers you want, and then put in A2theK10 as the promo code, and you will get 10% off.
Yes, you
will. This week's, Carl, last couple of weeks we tried some. I've been I've gone from strength to strength, and I was like, I love this one, and the next one I was like, this one's even better.
Yeah.
And like again, I was honest in the last seg. I'll be honest in this one and say, I'm not sure if this is my favourite, but this is still a fantastic beer. I'm not doing it a disservice by saying that.
Yeah. Like, it's a very different type of beer.
It's a very different type of beer. If you are a beer drinker, right, and you don't buy into the whole, and this is where I think it's important to emphasise this, right? The other two were very much like flavoured beers. Mm-hmm. Like obviously we had the ice cream in the Cold Stone Cream Austin. We had the mango in the Papa Mango. This is very much a beer's beer. This is a beer drinker's beer.
It's like I'm trying to find the right way to describe it. It's I don't want to say it's like it's a thicker beer, but you know what I mean. It's
no, I get what you're saying. It's a strong 9.5% volume Belgian beer. It is delicious. It's a totally different type of beer to the other two.
The others are more like easy drinking, spring, summer day. Just I'll have a Papa Mango, or I'll have a Cold Stone.
If you're the type of guy who's going to drink a fruity beer and go, what the fuck's this bullshit, right? Then the Belgian Triples for you is a really good beer, a beer's beer. It
is. I agree. And you know what? Try it for yourself. Go to topropebrewing.com. Use code A2theK10. And pick one up and pick up all the others while you're there. Let us know which one is your favourite. Vote.
They've actually introduced, you can vote ones we've not had the privilege to try yet, but they've introduced a new Cold Stone Cream Austin cherry flavoured one.
Yes,
sounds
they've got a pineapple flavoured one as well.
Pineapple flavoured one.
And there's loads of other ones.
Have they brought an NWO one back out?
So that one's come out on kegs. So if you would like to have your beer by the keg, you can get that one as well.
Beer by the keg.
Yeah,
there's 10% off probably.
I'm sure. Yeah, sure.
I think that still works.
But yeah, there's loads of other ones that we still haven't had a chance to try yet. Like I really want to try the Exalted one. That's obviously based on the late Brody Lee. There's an FTR theme one called Big Rig. Yeah. I want to try them all. And
only had one for us.
If only one day.
Hey. But no, genuinely fantastic beer company. Spoilers, we maybe even get a bit more insight in what they're about really soon. But until then, seriously, go on the website, try the beers. Fantastic.
Indeed. And also, go to Pro Wrestling Tees, pick up some A2theK merch. And if you're not watching us, just like that right there, and if you're not watching us on Pro Wrestling TV, then you should go and download the free app. You get wrestling content 24/7 for free. After you finish watching all our awesome stuff, you can watch all the other awesome stuff that's on there.
So, honestly, they have things like Warrior Wrestling, AAA. They have the local lads TNT.
They've got everything.
All sorts on there.
They've got the talk shows. They've got Women's Wrestling Army. Really backing women's wrestling out there as well.
The infamous Control Your Narrative.
Yes, it's all there.
All there.
And now we're there too, and we're very privileged to be there. So go and check us out on that. And until next time, bye.